Hello and welcome everyone to another session of NL Recess. And today we have with us Aanchal Malhotra. Aanchal is an oral historian and writer who has been working around the partition for more than a decade now. So we really have an expert with us. Aanchal has written two books around the 1947 partition. Her first book was called Remnants of a Separation, and Remnants looks at partition through the lens of material memory, which is honestly such a brilliant entry point into the event. And her new book, which is the topic of the discussion today, is called In the Language of Remembering. Now, In the Language of Remembering is a book that looks at intergenerational memory of the partition.
We as subsequent generations or descendants have a sense of longing. It's a sort of aspirational longing, because this question kept coming up again and again. Where am I from? Where is my native land? And so many people brought up the fact that during summer holidays in their childhoods, everyone went to their nanny's house or nana's house, or they went to the hills, or they went to Punjab, or somewhere where there was their ancestral home. And so many people said, well, where is my native home? Where is my ancestral home? Even me. There is a reason why you mentioned a lot of, I think the book became a lot more autobiographical than I imagined, because I was very, it's really scary to see yourself in everything.
There was recently this YouTuber that I was following, and he went again, like multiple routes, and he goes back to Pakistan. And he's in Karachi, and then he has friends in Karachi, so they take him to this food street, which is like really famous. And you see, I don't remember the name of the food street, but on that entire food street, you have Delhi wali Nahari.
It's Burn Street, because there are migrants that came from Delhi.
Yeah. And over here we have like Karachi bakery and like all of that. So it's just like so interesting.
You said the biggest paradox is, like, I still haven't been able to answer the question, like, जब हम लोग बाहर जाते हैं, देश जाते हैं, why are we so excited when we meet them? Why are they like our own? And then when we are here, we cannot assert that same warmth.
When we speak of belonging, and I feel like this is like a recurrent imagery that sort of comes in your writing, is the materiality of the soil. Like people are just really, they're very sensitive and emotional about, hamari mitti. So I don't know if there's something that you would like to, like speak about, like what is it that, like the soil sort of course, like I understand that, the whole imagery that it conjures for you. But if you want to like speak about that a little.
Multiple people in this book also talked about soil. Yes, carrying soil, wanting soil, being close to soil, not leaving soil. But I mean, wouldn't you feel the same way? Like if your family had migrated and someone said, I went to your village and this is the soil from your village, wouldn't you feel immediately that it's some part of you? Right? So I understand that. I absolutely understand that. And I have offered to carry soil and have carried soil in the past for so many people. Soil that has been poured on people's graves, soil that they have kept in their house. There is an unusually comical story. And I say unusually comical because partition is not funny. In the chapter on returning, where this young woman goes to Bangladesh, where her family is from Hindu woman. She goes for work and she says, well, I should find my village.
So we have one question right now. This is Arati Pinto. She says, I haven't read your book. I'm going to. Just want to know if you had a chance to study or hear what is it that school kids are reading, learning about other countries in their history classes, or like tell us something about like, like how is education shaping? I know we know cricket is and films are. What are we doing in schools?
That's such an excellent question. And in the age where our textbooks are being cracked of certain chapters and historical information, I can tell you with happiness that partition is being taught starting to be taught in a very nuanced way. So I think also as young people, we are completely uninhibited. The younger we are, the more uninhibited we are about asking questions. So several interviewees in the book, when they are very young, they ask like, "Aapne dekha tha partition?" Like they ask their grandparents very audaciously. And I realized like it may be bitterness that they are being reticent about, but it may just also be sadness. It may just be that they don't want to revisit. I think I realized with my grandfather, he was angry about a lot of things, but he was just masking sadness with anger.
So, what are some of the key differences that you find between the experiences of people here in the subcontinent and people in the diaspora?
Well, actually, I want to say that firstly, some of the only mentions of the process of decolonization or the role the British played were brought up in interviews with people living in the diaspora. Hardly anyone living in India or Pakistan even made mention of that fact. And it kind of goes to show that how 75 years of kind of rivalry or hatred or wars we fought has kind of rendered the original cause. If we look at even the films, loving India means hating Pakistan, right? Whereas obviously this is not the case. There is such a nuance of emotion that exists between love and hate. You can't, and for, when people say, oh, I hate Pakistan, I hate Pakistanis, I hate India, I hate Indians, all of them, the whole country. And then why is it then we meet in New York and we meet in London and we say, oh, bhai, bhai, I think people think I'm younger than I am, or some people assume I'm much older than I am, or some people are just very surprised as to why someone my age is constantly obsessed with partition. This is one of the big questions I had as well. Like, why do I keep returning to it? Why doesn't it leave me? Every idea I have for a book, for an essay. Most of our initial understanding of partition begins as storytelling, and not storytelling involving the word partition necessarily, but storytelling involving where a grandparent or a parent was from, or what the landscape of their childhood looked like. Was it trees? Was it lush fields? Was it, canals and rivers?
My grandfather had actually been to Lahore just before the partition happened. So now this whole question of like what happened when he was in Lahore and why did he choose to come back and not take his family?
But the audacity with which we ask these questions, I remember being in Pakistan and interacting with a Hindu family, and my first question was, and this is in 2014, several years ago, my first question was, well, why didn't you go?